Hey, you guys, my name's Brandon Dyer, and for my debate topic, I'm going to be talking about if trans women should be allowed to compete in women's sports. Now, I think we have to go back to why women's sports were created in the first place, and that is to know that there is a difference between men and women, and so that men wouldn't dominate just every single athletic event. They created women's sports. That way, women had their own sports to go through and be able to have that opportunity to have a career within sports. And there's growing inclusion with gender ideologies, and some people think that it should bleed over into the world of sports. And in this specific instance, I think that trans women should not be allowed to compete in women's sports. And I've come to that conclusion by doing research and having some examples set up for you guys. And the first example that I want to look at is the example of Leah Thomas. If you don't know, Leah Thomas was a male turned female trans woman and got a scholarship to go over there to UPenn for the swimming team. And she competed on the men's swimming team for the 2018 and 2019 season, and she quickly became one of the best men's swimmers on the team. Then in May of 2019, she wound up coming out as a trans woman and started hormone therapy and started the transition into becoming a trans woman. And after that, she still wound up having to compete in the men's section for the 2019-2020 season. Then she took a year off and came back for the 2021-2022 season. And in the 2022 season, she wound up winning the NCAA championship for women's swimming events, where she placed 5th in the 200 freestyle, 1st in the 500 freestyle, and 8th in the 1650 freestyle. And in her best season as a male performer in 2018-2019, we can see the contrast differences in the two, to where she finished 554th in the country in the 200 freestyle, 65th in the 500 freestyle, and 32nd in the 1650 freestyle. So we can quickly see how there's a whole lot of disparity between it, and how she became a really good women's swimmer in the women's division, where she was an okay average male swimmer within the male division when she first started swimming. And I link back to that NCAA national championship where she beat the person that came in second place by 1.75 seconds, which it doesn't seem like a whole lot. But when it comes to a lot of these swimming races, there are a lot of races. Most of them are decided between tenths or even hundredths of a second. So the fact that she was able to win that one by 1.75 seconds, I think, in my opinion, says a whole lot about the disparity between the two. But I think these situations prove biologically that the two sexes are different when it comes to athletic events once they get past a certain age of puberty. I think Thomas made a meteoric rise to the top of women's swimming, and if Thomas would have wound up just competing in the men's division and stayed in there, it would have been an average male swimmer. And my first research example is going to be from Dr. Joshua Safer, who said, "There does not seem to be any reason to expect advantage for transgender people prior to puberty of or for transgender people whose gender-affirming treatment begins at the onset of puberty. To date, the only established driver of athletic advantage in men over women is testosterone." And he states this in the Journal of the Endocrine Society. And he describes in that one the biggest difference between men and women's sports, which is that after a certain age, there's puberty development within both men and women. And men start creating testosterone at higher levels than women, whereas women don't create as much and they're capped out at a lower level of it. And even high testosterone women do not even compare to the testosterone levels that are of even the lowest testosterone men. And another example that I'm going to use is Dr. Joanna Harper, who goes into further detail on that subject in her handbook called Transgender Athletes and International Sports Policies. She's saying that athletic capabilities of males typically increase dramatically during and after puberty due to sharp increases in testosterone levels that result in men having 15 times the circulating testosterone levels of women. The pubertal increase in testosterone in men promotes muscular strength in association with increased muscle cross-section area and increased lean body mass. Muscle cross-section area is strongly associated with strength, and it promotes muscular strength in association with increased muscle cross-section area and increased lean body mass. Muscle growth section area is strongly associated with strength, which is recognized as a key determinant in athletic success in those sports demanding power and speed, which are mostly your swimming, your basketball, football, baseball, practically any sport that relies on power and speed. Which the detail specific examples and numbers of how much of an advantage that trans women would have over cis women in an athletic event. And these are just some examples and some of the reasons that I agree with not allowing trans women in women's sports for the moment.